You're listening to A Slice of Therapy with me, Alun Parry. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to use psychology in order to pee yourself fit. Or in fact, pee yourself anything that you want to pee yourself into. And I am saying pee. I mean urinate. At this moment in my life, one of the things I do is to urinate myself fit. Which sounds a very strange thing, isn't it? But I'm getting fit and I'm getting healthier. And I'm getting stronger, physically stronger every time I go to the toilet for a wee. Now, this might sound too much information, but you can actually do this for yourself. And you needn't choose to get stronger or fitter or the thing that I'm choosing. You can choose what you're choosing to do simply by going to the toilet to have a wee, which the average person actually does 6 to 8 times a day. So I'm going to explain this kind of philosophy and how to do this and how to implement it in your own life, because the end result for me is that it's taken something good that I used to do, but I despised it and stopped doing as a result. And not only have I started it again, but I've actually doubled the amount that I used to do when I despised it. But now I like it. So there are 3 steps in terms of how to do this that I'm talking about. So the first step is go super small. The second step is to anchor it. And the third step is to link them together and celebrate. So let's take each in turn. Now, the first step is about going smaller. Now, the big mistake that people make when they're trying to put any winning habit together is they always go too big. They always say, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to walk an hour every day. And of course, if you're going from 0 to an hour, there are many days that you won't be able to do an hour because human motivation goes up and down. And if we don't take account of the fact that sometimes our motivation is really low, we're just setting ourselves up to fail. And in fact, that's one of the big things that will stop us from setting up a habit. The idea of failing, the experience of failing is not fun. The thing that creates a habit is to feel successful. We like that. We like to have a nice feeling. And that's the thing that we actually keep doing when we get a nice feeling. So we need to go small. And I don't just mean small, I mean really microscopic. So there are 2 different ways to go small. Number 1 is you do the very first step of something. So I don't know, I read the other day that a big portion of people under lockdown are no longer showering every day. And so if you were one of those people and you thought, well, that's true, I'm not, well, you might be okay with that, and that's okay. But you might think, I actually want to be showering every day, that would be good. Then in that example, you would do the very first step. So the very first step is you might just turn your shower on. You might even walk away for a moment. But once the shower is on, you might well get into it. But even if you don't, you've won. You can go back and switch it off if you want. It's just establishing that very first step. The thing about first steps is you will often do the second step. Because what am I going to do with my shower running? Well, may as well get in it now. But even if you turned it off, that would be a result. The point is to establish the habit. So you start microscopically small, even if it's just the very first step of something. The other way that you could do it is to do a tiny version of it. So I don't know, if you were a writer, for instance, you might just write 1 line. And the point is that ideally this should be something that only takes a matter of seconds to do. Certainly no more than 30 seconds, but the fewer seconds the better. If you can establish something that only takes like 5 to 10 seconds, that's perfect. So that's the first step then. Go microscopically small. either by doing the very first step of something or just a tiny version of it, like write one line, walk one step. The second thing is to anchor it to something that you already do. Now, there are lots of things that we do daily. Every day, for instance, I get out of bed. Every day I get in bed. So there are two opportunities where I could anchor a habit towards. I brush my teeth every day. So there might be something that I do after brushing my teeth. And so it will take that format. It'll be, after I do this thing, I will do the habit. And so you're anchoring it to something. In fact, there's lots of things that we don't just do once a day, but we'll do multiple times a day. So I eat food, for instance, more than once a day. I'll go to the toilet and have a wee, 6 to 8 times a day. And so there's many things in the day that happen more than once that you could anchor it to. But because going to the toilet is something that we all do, 6 to 8 times a day, if there was something that you wanted to repeat, a habit that you wanted to repeat during the day, that might be a good place to start. And that's where I've started. So we've seen how you go really, really small. So it's the first step of something, or just a tiny version of it, like one line that you write or one step that you walk. We've seen that there's lots of things that you do every single day. And so you can anchor it, like, after I do that thing, I will do this new habit. The third thing then is to link them together. And the way to link them together is with that phrase that I've just mentioned. After I go to the toilet, I will do this thing that's going to make me stronger or fitter or whatever it is that you want to do. Because when you link it to something that happens multiple times a day, this thing that's only tiny suddenly becomes huge just through the sheer repetition. I mean, this is something that you're going to be doing 56 times a week. And so that tiny thing becomes massive. And so therefore gives the potential for really huge change. Now, here's the thing I used to do, and I hated it. But 3 times a week, I used to swing a kettlebell. And I made progress on it. I'm up to like a 45-pound kettlebell. But I despised it so much that you'll never guess what happened. I stopped. And so I haven't done it for weeks, probably about 2 months now, maybe. And I used to do 75 of those a day, 3 times a week. So I was doing 225 kettlebells a week. And then that went to 0 because I just couldn't stomach it anymore. And yet now I'm doing anywhere between 60 and 80 kettlebell swings every day. And I'm enjoying it. I like it. It's not a problem to me at all. And the reason why I'm doing so many is that every time I go to the toilet for a wee, I have my kettlebell waiting on the landing. And I pick it up and I swing at least 5. It doesn't take that long to swing 5. But you know what? I'll typically do 10. Because once you're swinging, I may as well just carry on. So I'll do 10 kettlebell swings. But because I'm doing that 6 to 8 times a day, because I do it every single time I come out of the bathroom after having a wee, I'm doing 60 to 80 kettlebell swings. Now that's about 560 a week. Even if I only did, say, 5 on each swing, which are, even if I only do 60 rather than, because I'm going to the toilet, say, 6 times, it's still 420. It's still far more than what I used to do. But typically, I'm doing at least double, if not more, of the kettlebells that I used to do, except this time, it's sustainable because this time I enjoy it. And the final step there is that once you link it together and you've done it, is to celebrate. Now, I overlooked this for a long time in terms of habit building, but it really is important, even though it seems daft. I then walk into my bedroom and I jump about as if I've just scored the winning goal in a cup final. Now, the celebration that you do can be whatever works for you, but that's what works for me. I want my physical body to understand that something wonderful's just happened. Because this is how habits build. It's that feeling that we repeat, that feeling of success. And so what I'm doing here, I'm linking going to the toilet with swinging my kettlebell, and I'm linking swinging my kettlebell with that feeling of jubilation and celebration. And so guess what? I enjoy swinging my kettlebell. And it's only for 5 to 10 swings, typically 10. But nonetheless, when you add them up, it becomes huge. So let's have a recap on the steps here, because whatever it is that you want to bring into your life as a habit that you feel as if you could do this repeatedly, it would aid your success in whatever area you want to become more successful in, then you can actually link it to go in the toilet for a wee, because you will be doing that. And so what if you had some positive habit that followed it? Here's those steps again. First of all, go really small, really tiny, just the spark of the thing that you want to do. So it might be that you do the first step of something. The example I gave was just turn the shower on. Now, you're not limited to that step. You can do more if you want to. Like, I only have to do 5 kettlebells, but I typically do 10. Or it might just be a tiny, tiny version of the bigger thing. If I was writing a book, I might just write 1 sentence. Now, I could write more, but 1 sentence is a win and we'll get that celebration. The second step that we saw was to anchor it to something that you do every day. Now, if you're going to pee yourself fit, or you're going to pee yourself something else, then you'll tie that to go into the toilet. But you don't have to. There could be lots of other different kind of things that you notice that you do each day. But if you're looking for something that you want to repeat throughout the day, then anchoring it to go into the toilet is a really good idea to do. The final thing is to link everything together. And you do that with the simple formula of saying, after I go to the toilet, I will do this thing. So in my case, it was after I go to the toilet, I will swing 5 kettlebells. Now, I'm not limited to 5. And in my case, I tend to do 10. But the key thing that I do next is then to celebrate. And I celebrate by jumping up and down as if I've just scored the winner in the cup final. And I'm punching my fist and I'm shouting, yes! And I'm letting my physical system know that something that I've just done is really pleasurable. And that just creates a whole loop where every time I go to the toilet, I'll lift my kettlebell and swing them. And every time I've finished swinging my kettlebell, immediately afterwards, I then act as if I've scored the goal. So this is a really simple thing for you to try. And I'll credit BJ Fogg, who's a behavioural scientist, who came up with this. And it really works. So you might want to give this a try. So the question that I would ask you is, what is it that you want to get better at? What is it that you want to see an improvement in your life over? Now, for me, I want to get stronger, physically stronger. And so I need to swing kettlebells, but I didn't like it. And so what I've done is I've tied it to this tiny habit of swinging the kettlebells that happen every time I go the loo. So every time you go the loo and you emerge from the bathroom, what is the thing that you will do and then immediately celebrate like a maniac the moment that you've done it? If you found this episode useful, please do share it so other people can get the benefits as well. If you'd like to work with me directly, I'm Alun Parry, and you can find more about me at liverpoolpsychotherapy.com. And of course, you don't have to be local to me because I work online, so you can be based absolutely anywhere. And of course, please subscribe to the podcast as well because it's absolutely free and it means that you'll never miss an episode again. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you again on the next one.